Guys, are you ready? Because today is Waifu tier list day. Okay, it's not Waifu tier list day. It's Second Awakened Monsters tier list day. It's not going to be Waifu tier list of which beast monster am I most attracted to. We're not doing that. It's Second Awakened tier list day. It's been a while since we've done a Second Awakened tier list. What's the best units? What's the worst units? Etc. Etc. Things have changed quite a decent amount, like between balance patches and between just the way the rest of the meta has changed and kind of led for more units to be more valuable and less valuable. Some things have been countered more than others, and people are like, oh, I'm not going to use this anymore. It was a fun gimmick for a little bit, and I'm not going to use it. So, or even just more people building and playing with things and then becoming more a part of the meta. So anyway, I thought we would go through and take a look today at the different units that are currently Second Awakened. There is 7 of each element, so that's 35 in total, and see how they stack up. I have some weird tiers, though. I have some weird tiers. I usually don't cry, but when I do, I have some weird tiers. No, with the dad jokes. Okay, so here are the tiers. Triple S, stronger than Nat 5s. That's like, you build it, right? In one way or another, in either PvP or PvE, in one way or another, they are stronger than a lot of the Nat 5s. Tier S is good everywhere tier. Some of the A tier monsters may be better than the regular S tier monsters, however, maybe less flexible. So, that's just an FYI. Like, you may be like, yo, this monster I use in RTA all the time. You put it in A+ tier. It should be an S tier. But maybe it's good in, like, awesome in RTA, but not really as good in other areas of the game. So that's why I'm, like, there's 3 A+ tiers, but they're for different things. RTA, like, it really shines in one area, but not the others. A+ for RTA, really shines in RTA, not the others. A+ tier in Guild Wars and Arena really shines in Guild Wars and Arena, but like if you try to stick it into Dungeon Team, it's gonna suck, right? A+ tier in PvE, Dungeon Teams is great, but don't try taking it into RTA or into like Arena Defense or something like that, right? So, and then B tier is just okay. It's like, you could build it, there's better stuff, you could build it if you want to. And then C tier is like, don't build this. Some of the stuff in C tier I didn't even build, and half of them is going from like, this person said it's bad, this other person said it's bad, this other person said it's bad. I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say it's bad and not even try to play around with it too much. Some things have changed also, like the Fire Pixie. The big difference in how she changed with the balance patch. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get it started. First things first, we have the, what should we do first? We should do the werewolves. Let's do the werewolves first. First werewolf. I'm sorry, but he's similar to like the light gargoyle kind of. Everyone that owns a light gargoyle is like, oh great, thank you, Bagel. He's got reduced cooldowns, but it's like, it's not really what, like he wasn't really super amazing before, and now he's like, he reduces cooldowns, but it's kind of a gimmick way to use it, so it's kind of tricky to use. If they changed it up and made it different, he would be potentially better. I mean, he's got some potential in a balance patch to be actually decent, because he does increase cooldowns, and that's never bad. But as it stands, just build a Dark Pixie. She's just a better version of, like, if you need something to increase cooldowns, or Fire Succubus, right? So the Wind Werewolf is not very exciting. Water Werewolf, on the other hand, I'm going to put the Water Werewolf at an S, good everywhere tier. He's great. First off, he's great for farming the Cliff of Tough Beastmen, because he's water, he's crit resist, he's got a heal, he's got a speed buff, he's got a defense break, he's good for Guild Wars, Guild Siege, he's good for Arena Defense. Just kidding, he's not. I wouldn't really use him for Arena Defense. I've seen people use him in RTA even. I wouldn't go as crazy to be like, RTA, oh my god. He's not at triple S, stronger than a Nat 5, but he's a pretty solid unit you can basically use everywhere. I mean, honestly, you probably stick him into like Dragons B10 and stuff like that and have him actually be a functional member of the team. But, I mean, he's not the best Dragons B10 unit or Giants B10 unit, but you could probably stick him in and him being like a functional unit of the team and not even be that bad. The next one, we have the Fire Werewolf. Actually, I'm going to put this Fire Werewolf at A+ in Guild Wars and Arena. And if you haven't built the Fire Werewolf, you have no idea why I'm saying that. The Fire Werewolf he's an HP tanky bruiser, right? So he's basically like a budget Rakan. So he's got a ton of HP, he heals himself, he heals more every time something else heals him, and He's just a solid tanky bruiser. He does a little bit of, like, not crazy like, oh my god, 100,000 damage or anything, but he does bruiser damage, right? He can take a hit, he can take a couple hits, and then he can take some hits from Skogul. That's one of the reasons that I really like him. The current guild siege defense that I have with him is 16-5 in G1. So it's not like G3 or anything, but it's 16-5 in G1. I was surprised to see it was doing that well, but yeah, for a guild siege defense, he's a fire tank. He can take a lot of hits, maybe not a lot of hits. He can take several hits, heal himself up, do some stuns, do some damage, do some heal blocks. So if he had a defense break, he'd be even better. He'd be like so really solid. But surprisingly enough, like, I didn't know how I was going to feel. I was so excited to finally build him before they announced what his skills were going to be. And then they announced it, and I was like, oh, that's not that exciting. But, like, he's a solid unit for, like, because Skogul, really, because Skogul is a big thing, right? So even on Destroy, he's not bad either. Weirdly enough, because I feel awkward saying that, but, like, weirdly enough, he's not bad as a fire tanky bruiser in Guild Wars. Or maybe arena defense too. I think I tried him a little bit in arena defense because he's the HP fire tank, right? But I don't know if I would consider him like top tier in anything. But he's okay in guild related content. Again, not gonna use him in RTA, not at all. Not gonna use him in Giants V10, terrible in that. Dragon V10, terrible. Necropolis, terrible. But guild content. Next one is Ashir, good everywhere. Ashir is good everywhere. Big surprise, right? He's got a heal, he's got a strip, he's got a multi-hits, he's got a heal block, he's got a speed buff, he's got 115 base speed. Now he has all the other stats to match the 115 base speed. He's just a solid unit overall. I've seen people use him effectively in RTA, people use him effectively in Guild Wars, people use him effectively in everything. 115 base speed, one of the fastest units in the game, and also can do damage and can strip and can speed buff and attack age buff and everything. He's just a solid overall unit. Similar to the Water Werewolf. They're better than the Fire Werewolf. They're much better than the Wind Werewolf. But yeah, the Dark Werewolf, I like him personally. I think he's a great unit. I like to use him, but just because I like to use it doesn't mean that I feel he's one of the most meta-relevant, amazing units in the game. He's okay. You can use him. He's not gonna, win you any awards and anything, but he's an okay unit. He just... He does damage whenever he gets crit on. He does damage based on his max HP to things, and he's got a defense break and a stun too, which is not bad. But it's not like, oh my god, game changing. I would love, like, he was so popular back in the day. Oh my god, if I keep talking, this video is gonna be forever and a day long. Moving on to, I guess we'll do the bears next, right? So Fire Bear, I'm gonna put him at A+ tier for PvE, mostly for TOA. He's a really solid TOA unit. He's got 2 AoEs. He's not bad for like Labyrinth and other things like that. Again, because he's got 2 AoEs. He's decent in Guild Wars because he's got like his Fire Bruiser, right? So he's not a bad unit for that. I mean, I know didn't put him in Guild Wars thing, but he's not as bad as you think, right? He's like, I actually built him on a couple accounts, and I'm like, he's pretty usable. But nothing like, oh my god, must build. Holy crap. Very similar, the Dark one. Dark one, however, you can... Where's the Dark one? Dark one, however, you can use for dungeons as well. Like, you can use for, like, Giants and Dragons, even. Not really Necropolis, but for the same reasons. One has AoE Provoke and Attack Break. The other one has AoE Decrease Attack Age. Actually, he does Decrease Attack Age and we have stuns and... He does a few things. The Dark one does a few things, but they're pretty good overall bruiser control style units. Moving on to the next. No, we're not on to the next one yet. The Water Bear. The Water Bear was kind of hype when he first came out. People were like, oh, he could be so tanky. He could do some damage too, and he's so tanky. And then like he disappeared because no one actually still uses him. He's kind of like a gimmick thing, but he's not like completely unusable, but. Where has he gone, right? Rabagast is Rabagast. He is still usable for something like Guild Wars against Skogul, because Skogul is going to do AoE damage regardless. And then a lot of times people have the Kamoons coming in and smacking the wind unit after that. So a Skogul and a Kamoon speed tuned together will actually take Rabagast pretty down pretty decently in health, and then he can come in and clean shot whatever you want, right? Does pure HP based damage. So he's actually not that bad for Guild Siege. You know, Guild War, you're probably gonna use other stuff, but Guild Siege is not that bad. You could, I mean, like, you could even maybe consider using him in an arena offense that's like, if you're having problems like not hitting, you know what? Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it. I was gonna say like if you're gonna hit Lucian defenses. I'm like, are people really? Is that really? I see them every once in a while, but not really too much. Like Speed Lead, Kabila, Bastet Lucian, or something like that. I'm like, man, maybe you could have like a gimmick arena offense for a double Ramagos, but whatever. If you think that's a fun idea, then you can go for it. But moving on. Let's go to. Well, we don't need to really talk about that, do we? The next one is the Light Bear. So Light Bear is okay. He was probably down here because he was just garbage. Now I'm gonna say he's okay. I heard some people were like, "Oh, you can actually use him now." So, but again, I'm not like super excited to build him. I'm just more going by what other people have said based on how people have reacted to them building him and liking him and et cetera, et cetera. So that's more based on other users' opinions than my own. But at least he's better than he was before, right? Because he got a little buff. He was better than he was before. I think he still deserves to be a little better, but moving on to what do we have next? I guess we'll do Pixies next. So Pixies, oh my goodness. Let's start from the bottom. This amazing, amazing unit. Didn't she just get a buff too? Why are you not there? I want to have the Pixies after the beasts, man. It's not. It's weird if it's not like that. I built her on the main. I tried to make her work. I was like, there's just better stuff. She does a revive, and that's about it. And she strips and puts a dot on for skill 2. Very exciting. And by very exciting, that's sarcasm. I mean not exciting at all. We don't really need to talk about her any more than that. The water one, I'm going to put this on okay. Personally, I've actually used her fairly successfully. I like her more than that. But I feel like for you guys, you're probably going to be like, yeah, she's usable. But there's better stuff. She does an AoE defense break and is slow. She does multi-hit third skill, which can actually do some decent damage. I think it does extra damage if the enemy is hit multiple times. So not bad. I mean, not the best unit in the world, but she's an AoE defense breaker, right? She's similar to Shayna, similar to Galleon. I feel that honestly, I think that she's a little bit better, but no, she wants to go in front of the bear. She's like, no bear, me first. But I think maybe you could argue that she's better than B tier. I personally like her more than that, but I'm going with what I feel is maybe other people are going to be like, nah, I'd just rather use my Galleon. I'd rather use my Shayna, right? You can use her in a cleave team, too, if you don't have, like, multiple Galleons. There you go. You could probably even use her in a shield will offense for hitting a Garo, Susano, Orion teams. Because, you usually use Galleon, Julie, and X in there. But, like, if you're like, I don't have enough Galleons, I can build 1,000,000 Galleons, right? Maybe you stick her in there, right? Maybe she's an option. And she's also got the speed break. She's got a multi-hit, which takes care of Garo. She's got a speed break, which actually makes them do less damage. With the skill 2, she's got the defense break, and it also attacks. So you can put Despair on her as well. So yeah, anyway, that's that. Isn't there... She's also kind of like, if you think about it, she's kind of like Mantura. You know, I really want to put her higher on the list, but that's okay. That's enough of her. That's enough of the Water Pixie. Next one is the Shannon. So Shannon, I had her initially at the good everywhere tier, but I'm like, she's not, like, people really not going out of their way to, like, use Shannon and everything. I'm gonna stick her in, go after the bears. Shannon, after the bears. Please, we need some consistency in this. So Shannon, I put in PvE. She's good for like Giant Speed 10. She's good for like TOA, you know. She was even used like early game in TOA and stuff. She's got an AoE, you know, you can put her on Despair. Not that bad. Early game Giants, but not like anything super crazy, right? You can use her maybe Labyrinth. You can use her maybe like some of the Second Awakened dungeons as well. Probably not that bad, but not like, oh my god, super endgame material. Moving on, what is the... Dark Pixie. So Dark Pixie's actually pretty decent. She's got She's similar. She's like a budget Zyros. She's like a same thing with the Fire Succubus. Same thing with. She's just a better. She does the cooldowns better than the Wind Werewolf, the Dark Pixie does. And I think she's got a decent base speed too, if I recall correctly. And she's got 2 skills. Her second skill is an AoE, increased cooldown by 1 turn. Her third skill is a multi-hit that increases their cooldown and then decreases her cooldown of that skill now. Since it's been changed, she decreases the cooldown of her own skill, so she can use it again faster if she successfully does it. If I recall correctly, because that was just her change. She just got changed in the last balance patch, so... oh my god, I am so thirsty. Brought to you by... No, I'm just kidding. That's not brought to you by anything. Brought to you by Dark Pixie Pepper. Dark Pixie Pepper? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Don't we have another Pixie in here somewhere? No, we did light, we did dark. Oh, Fire Pixie. Where's Fire Pixie? Fire Pixie! Okay, Fire Pixie, like I was saying, Fire Pixie's actually a decent TOA hard unit. I've seen people that were rushing TOA hard with the Fire Pixie because she detonates all the dots. It's not just a gimmick thing about like, oh my god, I can one-shot dungeon boss with it. It's like this is an actual thing that you can use in TOA hard now. She's actually a unit that you can build, and you don't have to feel bad like, I'm part of the gimmick. She's actually like a usable unit. Before, when people would ask me like what's a good team for Second Awakening Fire Pixie, I'm like, don't. Now I'm gonna have to have an actual answer, so I'm gonna have to go through and find an actual team to Second Awakening Fire Pixie, because I might actually build her on like one of my accounts. I don't really know that I have dot teams for TOA on my accounts, do I? I don't know, for like TOA hard, but she's a decent unit for TOA hard, just to detonate all the dots. Especially like the people that are speed running TOA hard are now using her. So if that says anything, like high level players are using the Fire Pixie, not as a meme. Moving on. Okay, so we're done with the Pixies. We're on to the fairies, I believe. What's the first fairy? Okay, so the first fairy is the Light Fairy. We don't have to really talk too much about her. She's got invincibility, immunity, stuff like that. Why would you use her when you have Fran? Why would you use her when you have Fran? She's okay, but she's not anything special. The Dark Fairy, excuse me, she's got first skill is a stun, triple hit and a stun. It's not bad. Second skill is a 2 hits, random targets, which strips and stuns, guaranteed stun if it hits both the same target, which is not bad for like guild content. Third skill is I believe it's a silence and a glancing hit, and I think it has a decent multiplier too for damage. I've been using her on the Light Dark only account, and she's not bad. She's not great, but she's usable. Like, you can use her if you want to use her. You can stick her into Guild Wars and Guild Siege and make it work. I don't know that I would stick her into everything, but she's a usable unit. You can if you want to force her into things, you can still win with her. Anyway, what's next on the list? The Fire Fairy. So the Fire Fairy, I was surprised to find out that she's still actually used every so often in RTA. I feel like maybe she's a little low on the... Like, the other things that I want to have on this in this RTA bracket are just stronger than her, more meta relevant than her. So it's kind of like weird to have. She's kind of low on the A+ tier kind of thing. Like, any lower, I would put her on B tier, but I think she's still more usable than the other ones, right? She's got an AoE strip and speed break. It's nice to follow her up with something like a Ganymede or a Tyron for RTA. She's got an AoE multi-hit strip, speed break, which doesn't trigger like a stun. So. And then she does have stuns on her other skills though, but she's a pretty decent unit. I was surprised to find out that there's actually still people using her in RTA, because I thought that they kind of stopped, but there's still people using her every so often in RTA. Moving on, what is the next one? The next one is the Water Fairy. Honestly, I had her here, but I feel like she's just too good. Like, I had her here because the Water Fairy is just a really solid RTA unit, like a really solid RTA unit, but she's also really good in, like, Guild Wars and Guild Siege. I wouldn't use her in Arena. I wouldn't use her in TOA. I wouldn't use her in Dungeons. Should she maybe stay in RTA? You can argue that she's good everywhere, right? But I think she's mostly for RTA and Guild War, Guild Siege. Great for RTA. Great for RTA. Awesome for RTA and Guild Siege. But I just feel like if you're gonna use her for you're not gonna really use her for TOA. You could argue that you could use her, but you're not gonna use her Giants, Dragons, Necropolis. You're not really gonna use her for those things. For Rift Beasts, you're not gonna use her for that. So she's a really solid RTA unit, really solid Guild Wars, Guild Siege unit. She's like high on the, like you could stick her in here, you could stick her in here. She's really great in both of those tiers. I would say maybe even like here, right? I know some people will argue, some people that do RTA all the time are like, no, she's triple S tier, stronger than Nat 5s. I'm like, for RTA, she's triple S tier, stronger than Nat 5s, you know what I mean? But not everyone does RTA is kind of my, so I know I'm gonna get dislikes for that, but kind of my thing is not everyone does really RTA. What else do we have for these? This wind one is actually, where is she? PvE. So she does damage, extra damage based on enemy harmful effects, I believe. Let me actually read. I actually have to read her entire passive. Hold on. I don't want to get this wrong. She does big damage, and she also has a cleanse, and she has a CC on skill 1. So she's not actually that bad. Where is she? I want to read her exact passive. Inflicting damage is increased by 30% for each harmful effect on the enemy. Okay. So she's good for, like, Giants. She's good for things like Rift Beasts. A few of the Rift Beasts, not all the Rift Beasts. She's not, like, super amazing triple S tier. Like, Crow is element neutral. He's got a defense break. He's got a brand too. He's got a team up, which reduces the cooldowns. Like, he's just a better version of her. But she's not bad. She's got a CC on the first skill, and she's got a cleanse on the second skill. So she's a usable unit in some of the Rift Beasts, and in Giants, she can actually do some decent damage too. But she's not, like, super amazing, right? She'd be kind of like similar to Shannon in that aspect of, like, usability. Well, that's why she's not S tier, right? That's not why she's S tier or triple S tier. She's just decent for some elements of PvE. What is the next one? The next one is... Do we have any more of those? No, we do not have any more of those. Ooh. Next one is the Martial Cast. Let's do Martial Cast next. So there's another one that's similar to her, that's similar to the Wind Fairy, is the Wind Cat, and she's just going to go right next to her. Same tier, right next to her, very similar. She does big damage based on enemy amount of debuffs, and she's not bad. She's not quite as strong as Crow, because Crow has element advantage, and he's got a defense break with Brand, like I said, and a team up, but she's a solid unit. For PvE, I wouldn't take her into, I'm not gonna stick her in arena offense or defense. You're not gonna bring her into RTA, the Wind Cat. You're not gonna do, probably not gonna do any Guild Wars with her, right? But she's decent in some elements of PvE. Someone's gonna be like, I do use her in Guild Wars all the time. Actually, wait. I use her in Guild Wars, but that's the free-to-win account. That's a different story. I technically use her in Guild Wars, but what is the next one? What's the next cat? We have the Fire Cat. Fire Cat is actually pretty decent. She is a tanky bruiser that destroys HP. She's actually pretty good. Fire tanky bruiser does damage based on her HP, and she destroys HP, and she counterattacks, and she's got a stun, and she's a decent unit for Guild Siege, right? Especially in the Skogul Triana thing, Skogul Triana meta, or just Skogul in general meta, because she'll destroy HP and has advantage over Skogul, and that kind of nerfs Skogul. Every time she destroys his HP, he does less damage, and she can take a rock from, maybe not just a rock to just her, but she can take a little blast from a rock because she's a tanky unit, right? The Fire Cat's a tanky unit. So she's actually, I was using her on China account, I built her, I was using her on China account, I was like, yo, she is a solid unit for Guild Siege. The Fire Cat is a solid unit for Guild Siege. Same thing with the Light Cat, for the same reasons, basically the same reasons. She's a tanky bruiser, and she's element neutral as well. So, she doesn't destroy HP or anything, but the Light Cats, I would put her in the same tier, the same utility. I do like for Guild Siege against Skulls, I do like the Fire Cat a little bit more though. What is the next one? Water Cat. So Water Cat is A tier, A or A plus tier for RTA. She's really, really solid in RTA. You can use her in other things as well if you want to, but she's mostly a really, really solid unit for RTA against things like Daphnis because of her crazy base speed. She doesn't need crit rate because she's a guaranteed crit if the enemy has no debuffs. I believe that is the correct wording. So you can just run her very fast. She's easier to get fast because she's 119 speed, as opposed to Daphnis, I think, is 98 speed. You don't need crit rate on her. You can just stack her with speed, crit damage, attack, and make her fast, though. I see so many people without her fast. You need her to be fast so that she can outspeed the Daphnis, outspeed the Vertiheal, things like that. So, solid unit for RTA. A lot of people that do RTA already have her built. They already know this. This is not shocking or news to them or anything. And then the Dark Cat. This is gonna have to be our first. This is gonna be our first Triple S monster. Oh my God! F this Dark Cat. Seriously, it seems like she's not that strong on paper, and then you play around with her. And here's the thing: like there are counters to the Dark Cat. It's just so frustrating going up against her if you're like, crap, I should have known there was a Dark Cat coming. Okay. Because if you don't have the right stuff, if you got, like, she's just a straight up counter to Vertiheal. She's a straight up counter to Diana. Because if it's her and Vertiheal and her against Vertiheal, Diana, and something else with like 100% crit rate. What else would have 100% crit rate? Like, let's say you got like a Vertiheal, Diana, and Perna. She can solo those 3 units, because Perna usually you build it with high crit rate, right? She can solo those 3 units. That's ridiculous for a Nat 3 to be able to solo 3 meta relevant units. 2 of those is Nat 5, 1 of those is a really meta Nat 4. But I mean, she's weak though to something like the Water Fairy. She's weak to the Lauren. She's potentially weak to Fran. But I've seen her solo Frans. I've seen her destroy like I brought in 3 counters to her, and then she solos her 3 counters, and I'm like, what? You just soloed Lucia, Lauren, and Fran. Screw this cat. Screw this cat. Oh my God. Screw this cat. On Arena Defense, in RTA, in Guild Wars, she's Triple S monster. I refuse to believe anything otherwise that is set in stone. She is Triple S monster. She's ridiculous. On paper, she doesn't seem that ridiculous. She's ridiculous. Moving on to, I think that's it for the cats, right? Moving on to the puppy dogs, the Inugamis. Blue puppy dog. We're gonna stick you here. We're gonna stick him in front of the Pixies though. Blue puppy dog. I have not. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna. You know what? He's at potato.com tier right now. C tier, potato.com tier. I want to find a way to make him good though. I think that he's maybe even more usable than that. But this is just going by me talking to other people that have already built him, how they feel about him. They say potato.com. I have not fully utilized him yet. So I will defer to their expertise, but I would like to change people's opinions on that water puppy, that water Inugami. I would like to change people's opinions, but currently potato.com, potato.com, not .net, not .org, potato.com. What is the next one? Oh, the next ones are, these Inugamis are pretty solid. Like, you really can't go wrong with these Inugamis. That's why I feel like the water Inugamis, like, that's got to be better than it actually is, right? S tier, I'm going to go with for the Wind Inugami, because the Wind Inugami's got to think about all the things that you want in basically anywhere. You want to be fast, you want to strip things, you want to defense break things, you want to nuke. That's how you kill things. You outspeed, you defense break, you outspeed, you strip, you defense break, you nuke. He's got every single thing, every single one of those in his kit. He's a wind monster, so of course he's not element neutral. If he was element neutral, that would be even stronger. But he's got the speed lead, he's got a defense break first skill, he's got a strip second skill, and he's got a big nuke third skill. That gives him an extra turn like on top of that. He's such an underrated unit. For people that haven't built him, he's such an underrated unit. The Wind Inugami. Such an underrated unit. He wasn't even bad before the Second Awakening either, that's the thing. But not too many people were excited about him, but he's such a solid unit. Bella's just an overall good pick for everything. You can't go wrong with Bella. You can use her in like everything, right? Ship, defense break, heal, attack age increase, 108 base speed. Solid unit just overall for like so much stuff. Fire Inugami. Fire Inugami a lot of people love. Triple S, stronger than Nat 5s. He's dangerous. He's really, really dangerous. I know I am not the biggest Fire Inugami abuser. I don't know who would be the biggest Fire Inugami abuser. Actually, there's a lot of people that abuse the Fire Inugami. I've seen so much crazy stuff with the Fire Inugami. I'm not even talking about YDCB because I was initially referring to YDCB as the biggest Fire Inugami abuser, but not even just him. Just like there's a lot of solid Fire Inugami users. I've seen some crazy fast Fire Inugamis too, like crazy fast as well. There's just so much that you can do with him. Solid unit. Potentially just snowball into insanity, right? Defense break, team ups, more more additional turns when he kills things. Procs into just more hits and more hits and more hits and more hits. He's dangerous. I really should use him more. He's such a solid unit. Dark Inugami, again, triple S unit. Like, personally for me, I don't use Fire Inugami as much to warrant him for my gameplay as a triple S unit, but I'm going by the track records of a lot of other people that are using him that love him dearly. Because I feel like me personally, I would put him maybe at like around S, but I've seen too many people go crazy with Fire Inugami and just win ridiculous nonsense. Like it's kind of a must-ban unit. The Dark Inugami, he's just amazing. He's amazing unit for giants, dragons. You know what? I actually have several Dark Inugamis in my Necropolis team on the Light Dark server, and he actually does work in Necropolis. Weirdly enough, you need everything else to have like more multi-hits to make up for him, but he just does. He's just so good. He's got defense break, he's got brand, he's got team up, he's got big damage, he's got element neutral. He's great in dungeons. He's great in like basically everything in the dimensional. The Rift of Worlds. Gotta remember which place is which. I wouldn't really probably use him in Guild Wars Guild Siege, the Dark Inugami, but he's just a solid unit for dungeons, which you're gonna be farming all the time anyway. There's so many people using him like, oh, you got early game. If you can get a Dark Inugami, second awaken it. There's your nuker for your Giant Speed 10 team. And you can use him in Dragons. Again, you can use him in Giants, Dragons, Necropolis. Weirdly enough, I feel weird saying that because he doesn't have really that much multi-hits, but you can as long as you have multi-hits with the other stuff. And then Rift of Worlds, amazing. Fantastic monster for R5, R4 even, if you can't get to R5 yet. And then like basically all the Rift Beasts. Basically, just like he's an element neutral Brandia. Like he's just an elementary. He's a Brandia, Argon. He's better than like all the other things that do damage based on like on this list that do damage based on enemy harmful effect. He's just crazy. He's just a crazy unit. He's just god of PvE, free to play god of PvE. Dark Inugami. So now we are off to the last ones, which are the Griffins. Where are the Griffins? So, in my personal opinion, the Light Griffin hasn't done enough to be anything amazing. I'm sorry, Light Griffin owners. I know you're so excited about that Light Griffin buff. I don't know. I don't know that there's enough. Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. Maybe maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe we'll play with him against some Dark Martial Cats and stuff like that, and be like, oh my God, he's truly amazing. So I'd like to test him out against some Dark Martial Cats in like Guild Wars and Guild Siege. Maybe could be cool there. And that's another thing with the meta, like the rise of certain units and the fall of other units make way for like the things like this to change over time. So maybe with the Dark Martial Cat, this is a unit that's going to be potentially usable if people start using the Dark Martial Cat even more in Siege. I know they're already using her in Siege, but we'll see. We will see, because that unit could potentially be a little bit higher on the tier list as far as like maybe A+ tier in Guild Wars and Arena, like over here, possibly, right? So we'll see. Just want to disclaim that as well. The Dark Griffin, I feel like this is a good anywhere situation with this Dark Griffin. Some people may disagree, but I feel like he's a solid unit. He's got a stun on first skill. He does damage based on his speed. He's got really solid speed. He's got a defense break. He's got an attack buff. He's got increased, defense break and attack power break with skill 2. Same as like Bernard. He heals. He increases his defense, and he's just a solid unit. He's just a really, really solid unit. Good anywhere. What is the next one? Next one is we're going to also put Bernard in the good anywhere tier because Bernard is Bernard. He's just the better Bernard now. Fantastic. I'm going to stick Spectra over here in the PvE tier. A+ for PvE for like Dragons B10 and for what else? Dragon B10. Some stuff in the Dimensional Rift, the Dimensional Hole. Dimensional Rift. Oh my god. I need a bed, guys. We've been talking for like 35 minutes. 35 minutes straight. Oh my god. What was I saying? Spectra. Yeah, Spectra for TOA, Dragons B10, and for the Dimensional Hole. Solid for those three. 126 base speed. I mean, you're not going to use them in like arena offense or defense or anything because will runes, right? You're not going to use him in RTA because will runes, right? You're not going to use him in Guild Wars because there's just better stuff for Guild Wars, right? He's a great TOA unit. He's a great Dragons B10 unit, and he's also usable in, like I said, again in the Dimensional Hole. And then the water one. The water one, I have some ideas for this water one. The water one I'm going to put again in PvE because he's similar to now he's similar to things like the Wind Cat and the Wind Fairy where he does damage based on enemies' debuffs. So he's there. He's not quite as strong as Crow though. He does have a defense break, but he's not quite as strong as Crow. So I'm going to put him A+ tier for PvE. And that should about do it. I have some ideas for this Water Griffin though. I'm very excited that he's actually usable now, like to say the least. Like you can actually he's not a meme. He's not C tier anymore because before he would have been like just the last tier. But Water Griffin is actually like you can build him. But yeah, hopefully I made sense, and I know I talk too much because I always do. But I just wanted to convey a lot of thoughts on these different units. Yeah, and I think that you can make some arguments that some things could be higher or lower. Because honestly, part of me like feels that like this something like Lucia should be higher. Something like the Fire Nagami Rauk. I call him Rauk. I know some people call him Ryok. Some people call him whatever. I just say Fire Nagami so I don't have to like argue with people. But I feel like I don't know, man. He's pretty good. So some of these are like in between tiers even, right? And then some of these like I feel like the Fire Werewolf may seem weird seeing him in that like A+ tier for Guild Wars, and like, Bagel, are you sure that he's A+ tier? Like, it's weird. Not if you haven't built him, you don't know that he's actually. He seems to just like he is good at things, but you're like, I don't know why he's good. Like I won, but I won the last one too. But okay, I mean, there you go. And for some of these tanky bruisers for like Guild Wars, they're pretty decent on Destroy. So mostly like you see some of the fire tanky bruisers over here, and a lot of these have like AOE debuffs for like TOA and things like that, right? AOE debuffs for TOA. Anyway, or things for like Dimensional Hole, right? Anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully I didn't talk. I know I talk too much. I always do, right? One day I'll work on that. No promises. I probably won't ever work on that. Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you as always in the next one.